Welcome back everybody, and thank you for tuning in. As you see, I have come prepared today. Got the mad science specs, the lucky hat, and the coffee, which by the way, looks delicious. Here's a close-up. Now that the formalities are out of the way, today we are cutting this crystal opal that weighs just over 2 carats. Now it does have a beautiful play of colour, and most importantly, as you can see, there's a nice bright red in the face. Ideally, and I do mean ideally, I would love something that weighs at least 1 carat. A crystal opal with bright red at over 1 carat would just be chef's kiss. Yeah, it'd be that good. Do I think it's gonna be over 1 carat? I don't know. I'm slightly doubtful, because by looking at it with a torch, although there is a nice crystal structure, the light does not pass all the way through the opal, which means there's definitely sand on the inside. I think I can see a couple of cracks as well, so it's a bit risky, but regardless, I know we're gonna end up with a small little pointer in a worst case scenario that has a beautiful red color. So it's not all doom and gloom. So that's enough of me talking. It's time we get ready to go and cut the opal. Make sure your fingers are crossed, because I might need it. The first step, as always, is to clean up around the edge of the stone. This reveals the depth of the color bar and gives me an indication as to how much precious opal I have to work with. Removing the sand also makes the gem more desirable by reducing the amount of inclusions that are there. I thought we'd take a moment here just to analyse what's going on right now. You can see that the opal itself is lending towards a teardrop shape, but if you can focus in, where my tweezers are pointing, there's a crack running straight across the top of where the top of the teardrop would be. And you can see, if I turn the opal sideways, the crack runs all the way down. Sorry, my hand's being very unsteady at the moment. I could break that off and try and polish it, but it's so small, it's just going to be a completely wasted effort, because once I've cleaned up around the edges, obviously gone through all the wheels, it's going to become tiny. So it's much easier and much more effective just to grind that colour away. So it might look like it's being wasted, but I can't polish a gem that has a crack running straight through it. In addition, obviously it would be nice to be able to polish this big face here and get some sort of cushion cut. The trouble is, if I show you sideways, and look, there's that crack coming through on the other side as well, but if I turn it sideways, that sand dips very far down. So if I was to remove the sand here, and then obviously remove the sand there, I'm going to have one very high part of the dome and one very low part of the dome, and it's going to make a very uneven stone with sand encroaching from behind. So it's not a wise decision to make. Therefore, I think it's smarter just to go for a pointed gem here. Obviously I was hoping for something over 1 carat, but I had my doubts. This sand right in the edge will come out because the color bar goes deep enough so I can roll that edge. This top we're going to lose, so we're going to end up with a round most likely, but it's got some nice colours in it, and that's what we're going for. Now that we've decided to remove the crack, you can see I'm bringing the opal in to where that crack begins. It's a very meticulous process with an opal of this size, but we got the job done, at least for now. So it's time to roll the edge and start to get that sand spot out of the face. And here is what we've ended up with. I'm only joking. This is the back of the opal, and as you can see, the sand went all the way in. So I've made the right call by going for just the top. This is actually the stone that we're working with. Yes, there's still a sand spot in the face, but it's small enough for me to be able to take it out with the dop stick. I've decided I'm not going to make it a uniform shape. I'm not going to make sure it's a perfect round or an oval or a triangle. This colour and this colour play deserves for it to be as big as possible, so I'm going to leave it as a free form. That will present some troubles later on, but I'll talk about that later in the video. Time to put it onto a dop stick. Now the opal's on a dop stick, we can focus on making the shape a little bit more pleasing. A freeform shape isn't as desirable as a uniform one, but they still sell. However, the freeform shape needs to be somewhat appealing. It can't have too many different edges on the sides. It needs to be a relatively pleasing shape. So use your best judgment if and when you're cutting a freeform opal. I'm obviously taking more of the sand out, polishing up around the edges and rolling the setting edge. It's time now to whack on the mad science specs and inspect the opal, make sure I'm happy with the shape and the progress so far. Once I've done that, it's onto the 600 grit wheel, where I take out the last little hints of that sand spot in the face and add the stages of the pre-polish. So polishing up around the edges, polishing the top of the dome, and improving that setting edge, making sure it's even all the way around the stone. I've said it before, and I'll say it again, this is by far my favourite wheel. It still takes material away at a slow enough pace. Time again to inspect the opal, make sure I'm happy with the work. As I stare deep into the soul of this opal, asking it to reveal any imperfections. And once I've done that, it's onto the 3000 grit wheel, after, of course, the 1200 grit. The 3000 adds the final pre-polish, takes out any previous scratches, and sets us up perfectly to add the cerium oxide blend. Time to coat the felt pad with cerium oxide and polish this opal to a mirror shine. Here's the finished opal while it's still on the dop stick. I'm just going to go and take it off and finish the back. While I'm doing that, go in the comments down below and guess how much you think this stone weighs. Whilst taking the opal off of the dop stick, we've had a disaster. You can see I'm now holding two separate pieces of colour. Turns out that crack that we saw earlier actually dipped and bent inwards into the opal, which means the back was compromised. If I show you here, if you can see on this side of the opal, we now have a big chunk out of it, which can obviously be seen left sitting on the dop stick. It's got some nice colour, but it's mostly sand. The trouble is, we now have an opal that has a back that's totally unstable. It's got a thin part and a thick part. That won't do for an opal of this caliber. Even though it's a pointer, we're going to be saving it. And you guys are going to have to change your guess down below with how much it weighs. Because now we have a decision to make. What do? Do I take that side of the opal off? Or do I make the back thinner all the way over the opal, therefore saving all that colour in the face? It's a tricky decision to make, so I'm going to sit down, I'm going to study it, and I'll make my decision. So, I've been sat here studying the opal for quite some time, and my gut is telling me don't do anything stupid. Cutting away the thin part and leaving a smaller stone isn't stupid. Making the stone thinner, a little bit stupid, because if it's too thin, it's unsettable and I don't want to turn it into a doublet. Instead of being stupid, I'm going to be smart. And I'm going to speak to a stone setter that I know. I want to know if there's anything that can be done before I have to recut the opal. For example, could we take an imprint of the back of the stone and have that imprint cast into metal, so when I set the stone, it's supported underneath by something else, if that makes any sense. There's nothing wrong with asking for advice from other people, especially people who know more than you. I don't know much about stone setting. There are experts out there who do. So it would be stupid of me not to ask about if there's anything that can be done before I make any final decisions. At the moment, you can see it weighs 0.37 carats. Do I really want to make it 0.2 or any smaller? Not really, doesn't interest me at all, the colour's too good. I'm torn up between a lot of decisions. And for that reason, I'm not in the right mind frame to make the decision now. So let's leave it for a bit. As I've mentioned previously, I have the idea of coming out with some affordable opal jewellery, and this is sort of ideal material that I'm looking for. So I don't want to go ahead and ruin something for the sake of just finishing it for the video. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. I hope it's been interesting and enjoyable to watch, and I apologise I can't show you the start to finish right now, but I hope you can agree with me. I'm making the right decision by not doing anything until I'm absolutely certain. So thanks very much for watching, guys. I'd appreciate it if you like the video, if you have enjoyed, and of course subscribe if you want to keep up with weekly opal content. There's no denying, this stone is a beauty, and we still have the rest of the parcel to go. So I'll see you next time. Thank you very much. See you later.